Hello, this section is entitled Provisioning One or More Stackdriver Workspaces. And the first thing we're going to observe here is we're not going to use the term Stackdriver. That's a dated term. Going forward, we're going to refer to it as cloud monitoring, which is the new term for this feature. And so this feature essentially is about collecting and displaying metrics. So we're talking about things like graphs of performance, CPU usage, this kind of stuff. Okay. Now, the way this feature is implemented is sort of broken into two parts. The first part is called a workspace, and the workspace really is about the visualization part of it. It basically creates, you can create dashboards, you can collect sort of the visualization pieces of it. The workspace is created in a particular project. That project is called the host project. Okay? Now the data itself, on the other hand, the collecting and storing of data actually lives in various projects, distinct from the project, the host project. And the way this works is you're going to connect, what you can do is to make this all work, you're going to take the project that has the data and connect it to the workspace, and then you can create visualizations in that workspace that you can mix and match graphs from that aggregates data from different projects essentially. One thing to note is when you create a workspace in a host project, that host project is automatically connected to the workspace, right? So, but then you can go in and add other projects to your workspace. And in particular, you can add up to 375 other Google projects all into that one workspace. You can even connect up AWS accounts into that workspace. Okay, so now the question is, why this distinction? And the primary reason is that when you create a typical implementation in GCP, you're going to actually use more than one project for different purposes. And it would be really painful if you had to create monitoring tools that you had to keep on switching projects to see different parts of the graphs, right? Like one graph here, go to another project, look for a different graph. It's much more convenient to have one set of graphs that you can use to visualize all the performance of different features across projects. So that's the why. So the way we're going to do this, we're going to start off with our original project. We have training main. And the first thing that's recommended is when you create when you create your workspace, you actually want to first create a host project that just does nothing but host the workspace, right? And so I want to create a project called, instead of training main, I'm going to create training monitoring. Now, this is the second time at this video, so I've already done this. So there is already a training monitoring. You just do new project, you name it training monitoring, and then you're done. So I've already done it already. So I'm in training monitoring. I've done nothing else in this project, right? I've not created any resources, and I'm not going to create any resources other than I'm going to activate, if I go down here under monitoring, here it is right here, overview. Now, again, this is the second time I've done this video. So what normally would happen at this point is it would recognize that this project did not have a basically a workspace associated with it, and it would create a workspace, and it names the workspace the same as the project. So you notice my workspace now is named training monitoring. So that's where we're at now. So basically what I have here now is I've got a host project, training monitoring, that is hosting the workspace that happens to also be called training monitoring. So to make this all work though, I want to connect my other projects to this workspace. So I go to settings, get rid of this box, right? So you can see that training monitoring is the only project that it is aware of. So I can go to add project, and I can click these two other and hit add project. And what that's going to do now is allow me to use metrics that are stored in any of these three projects, right? The metrics are stored still in the projects, but I can display them in this one workspace. The only other thing that's sort of interesting here is if you happen to be over here in my dashboard, for example, right? I'm in training monitoring. Let me switch to another project, training main. Okay. And the question is, what happens now if I'm on training main and I go to monitoring? What should happen? Well, let's see. What's going to happen before I click it? This project is associated with the workspace called training monitoring. So when I do this, it shouldn't create a new workspace because this project already is tied to the workspace. As a matter of fact, if I click on this, you'll notice it switches to the training monitoring workspace, and I'm basically back at looking at monitoring that's kind of common to all of the projects. So that's a little bit confusing. It's like almost like switching projects. Now, out of curiosity, if I now go back to home, what project I'm in? Yes, when I did that, it actually switched my project to the host project and then showed me the workspace in that project. So to get back to my other project, then I have to go back to main again. So that's really, we're going to cover the actual metrics and how to interact with them in a later video. This was just really focused on creating a workspace, understanding the relationship between a workspace and the projects that they monitor, right? And the fact that the workspace is hosted in a host project. That's it for this video.